If you're someone who's interested in NFL football, which I think is all of us in the world, even if you don't live in the US, then this podcast will be a blessing to your ears today. I'm joined by my friend who I think I'm going to meet in about a week's time. Maybe we can confirm that or not. James Rapien. He's the host of Cincinnati Bengals Talk on YouTube and his podcast, the Locked On Bengals podcast. He writes articles for BengalsTalk.com. He tweets about 100 fucking times per day via Bengals Talk SI and so much more. And honestly, all joking aside, James, I think I left this on one of your left a comment on one of your videos one time, but like, dude, crazy work ethic that you have, and it's one of the many things I respect about you. But yeah, man, I really respect that, and I appreciate it as a fan. I appreciate it, and dude, just really happy to have you on, man. What's going on today?
I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me, and yeah, no, I appreciate the kind words and all the support. Let's go. Let's rock, baby. And yeah, you will be seeing me. You will be seeing me in a week. Let's confirm that. Let's go. Gotta get that lift in.
Damn
We're gonna get that lift in here, baby. Let's go.
And beautiful Miami. We're gonna get the hell out of the cold and get into beautiful Miami, baby.
It snowed today. So.
Oh, dude. Yeah, it snowed here last week. Brutal. But cool. Okay, dude. I wanna dive right into the first thing. I know, like, probably everybody here is wondering whether they like the Bengals or not.
Yeah.
When was your first moment of like, holy shit, I'm interviewing Joe Burrow?
Ooh. I don't know. Because here's why. It was weird. I feel like I would have probably had that the day he was brought in after he was drafted. But it was just a Zoom. So, so it was during COVID, and he's in his parents' living room, and we're talking, and like I'll say the thing that I got him and I stumped him on, and like a year and a half later, I got to ask him in person after the COVID protocol broke. Was I asked him his favorite video game of all time, and he was not ready for it, man. He was not ready. And I don't know if I would be either if I was picked number 1 overall in the NFL draft and was answering all those questions. But no, I remember that from that Zoom. That was the last question. And then I followed up like 2 years later when I saw him in the locker room.
That's
so there you go.
Funny, dude. Yeah. And again, I want to give you as much kudos as you deserve, man. But like you know, I think a lot of times, if you're a big fan of a team, like if you're watching the press conferences and stuff, which some people do, some people don't, but like, bro, you always ask really good questions. And that's one of the things I always I'm like, whenever there's a press conference, I know James is going to be there asking some really good questions, whether it's like funny, whether it's like getting to the meat of things. Like I know you've kind of hit Zach Taylor on a few things in a couple of press conferences, man. So I want to say I appreciate about you that as well.
Thank you. I think there's a balance there, and there are people that do my job, and they have their ways of doing it. Usually I don't have a ton of stuff to get to in the press conference, and I just kind of let it go. It's kind of a conversation, right? I don't know. You didn't give me a rundown of what we're about to talk about, but I go in there like, all right, well, let's see where this goes. And that's it. Like, you think I thought that I was going to go into that press conference or that Zoom call with Joe Burrow and say, hey, what's your favorite video game, number 1 overall pick of the 2020 draft and reigning Heisman Trophy win? No, but that comes up, and usually those are the fun things, like his chain, the chain comment after they beat the Chiefs. Those diamonds are, well, I make too much money to have fake ones. My comment was right before that. I was like, can you tell me about your chain? And he was like, oh, you like that one? Yeah. And then it just goes. I didn't know I was going to ask him about this JB9 chain, but you know, here we are. So I think that's the way to approach it. There are times when hey, I have to ask this question, or we have to hit on this injury. But you don't always want to have an agenda.
Yeah, that's super cool, man. No, I love that. And so, all right. So beyond, obviously, and we're gonna talk more about Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, and just talk more about the NFL, like the NFL in general, because I think it's just you're in such a cool, unique position that like so many people would love to be in the locker rooms and asking the players questions. And so I want to get into all of that, but I want to kind of get into like how did you start, even so for people listening, how did you start doing it? What do you do on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis? Like, how did you get into all of this, what you do now?
Well, I went to school for it. I was a journalism major and communications minor at the University of Cincinnati, and graduated many, many moons ago. And the thing is when that happens, you think, I graduated And that's really when things start, when you're not going to make a lot of money. You have to put the grind in, the time in. I had an unpaid internship for probably 18 months, including a few months after graduation, at iHeart Media here in Cincinnati, 700 WLW and ESPN 1530. And they brought me on as a part-time producer. And I knew I wanted to talk sports, not be behind the scenes. I knew I wanted to write and do whatever, honestly, whatever it took to cover them at whatever level in whatever way. I didn't always know I would be a beat reporter necessarily. That wasn't high on my list of, oh, I have to do this. I just knew I wanted to talk sports. Why not cover the teams that I grew up paying attention to, rooting for, all of those things? And so how do I do that? And through a long story short, spent some time as a radio producer in Cincinnati. That brought me to Cleveland. I covered the Guardians and Cavaliers as a beat writer for a couple of years. And then the opportunity with Sports Illustrated opened up at BengalsTalk.com. And well, it was really right then, right when Joe got drafted, right when you were about to launch everything you're doing. Our rises are very similar, I've noticed, and we haven't talked about this, but COVID was pretty good to me professionally, because I got to cover the Bengals. I got to be in the NFL, which I did certainly from a professional standpoint, wanted to get to the NFL. It's my favorite sport to cover. And so then the Bengals go to the Super Bowl the next year. Cincinnati Bengals Talk becomes a thing, and we roll on, baby.
I love that, dude. That's sick. I didn't know that. Wow, that is super cool. A couple of follow-up questions. So when you were covering the Cavs, was LeBron there when you were covering the Cavs, or no? Oh, okay. It was right after.
Like that. That's what's so funny is like that's why I don't take Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase for granted, man, because I covered the LeBron-less Cavs. The Cleveland State was more relevant when I was there than the Cavs were, man. I mean, I remember I was there when Darius Garland got drafted, and I remember writing about Darius, and they're like, they don't need some 6-foot point guard. I'm like, man, he's going to be good. He's just young.
Yeah.
But no LeBron. And Joe Burrow would be bummed about that too, I think, because he's a big LeBron guy.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. That shirt, that jersey, the picture of him. I'm back. I'm like, what are you doing, bro?
Yeah.
That's funny. So, all right, a question for you then. So you were / kind of still are a fan, but obviously now there's a professional component to it. So how was that kind of transition process? Was there a transition process? What is that like for you to kind of like, I love these teams, I root for these teams, but I have to be a professional to these teams? Like, what has that been like for you?
I think it's probably one of the best parts about the Cleveland experience. And I love Cleveland when I was up there, but you talk about diehard sports fans. They're diehard. And so everyone knew I was from Cincinnati. I didn't hide it. Everyone knew I was a graduate from UC. I talked about the Bearcats plenty. I talked about Skyline Chili plenty. Like, I was myself, but I'm on the airwaves in Cleveland and I'm writing about Cleveland sports. And so, one, you better know your stuff. Two, you learned, and I learned how to cover a team at that level in the way you should, the ins and outs, the professional part of it. Because if you're not going to be a professional, people are going to look at you like, what the heck is this guy doing here from Cincinnati? You know, because a lot of the Cleveland reporters are from Cleveland or have been around Cleveland. And so when you do that, and it is a rival, and I did have to talk Browns on the radio and do, I did have to do that. And so when you do that, it really did prepare me for coming back, knowing how to approach it. And that's what you do. It's just step by step. You realize, oh, well, you do this or that. You pick up little things, and then suddenly you look up and you can do that. Like I can separate the fact that I was pissed off that Chad Johnson dropped the ball in 2002 against the Indianapolis Colts in the middle of the field. That was Chad's breakout year. They were coming back. John Kitna and the Bengals. See, this will give you an idea of my memory.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
It was 28-21. The Bengals are driving in Indy, a chance to either tie the game or take the lead. And a ball glances off of Chad Johnson's hands. It's a little high. He should have caught it over the middle of the field. After the game, he was like, I'll never drop a pass again. 11-year-old me fell in love with Chad Johnson then.
Yeah.
Right. So that just gives you an idea. You can separate the two. And I certainly feel like I've been able to do that for sure.
That's awesome, man. And I'm sure, I mean, you see the players and the coaches and obviously, I don't know how much, and maybe you have insight to this, but like, I've always been curious, like, when you go interview T, and when you go like, I wonder if how often or how much they're like, well, James said this about me. I saw he tweeted this about me, right? But like, I'm sure that also buys you credibility and respect within your profession, because you are able to be a guy where it's like, he's not just some, crazy fan or talking all this shit on the internet. It's like, he's actually a real guy.
Yeah. No, I think the human element of it, I try to show that as much as I can with as many players as I can and coaches, but you see coaches a little less because you're in the locker room and coaches aren't necessarily in the locker room. You try to show that as much as you can because you want them to know, like, hey, I'm human too. I'm a normal guy too, but we all have jobs to do. And in most of the athletes I've covered understand that. And yeah, I mean, there's going to be times like the other day, like with T, like he has 2 drops after he's evaluated for a concussion, and we're all like, oh, what? And then he makes a crazy one-handed catch that's just insane, And so there's a tweet out there where I'm like, man, T hasn't looked good since he went down with his head, and then he does the one-handed catch. It's one of the best touchdowns of the year, right?
Yeah.
So like, depending on what you see, which
Right.
I talked about that one too, depending on what you see as an athlete, you might have beef or not. So my goal is to just be fair, say how I feel, and if you do that, and they get mad, well, that's part of it. And if you do that enough, I think they'll understand that you're trying to be fair, and you build that rapport and respect and everything that comes with it.
Yeah, I think to use maybe a Guardians, like, you just call balls and strikes. Like, you call it how you see it. It is what it is. So
try to. Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Okay, so speaking of speaking of players, right? You said there was no LeBron, but there is Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. And again, being it's funny. I made that video about like being a Bengals fan on my social media, and somebody commented and they were like, I've never understood Bengals fans who don't live in Cincinnati. They're like, why would you choose this life? And I'm like, I don't know, man. But I've always been like John Kitna, had a John Kitna jersey, Corey Dillon, like the whole nine.
You go back? You go back.
Oh my God, yeah. Oh my God,
I don't know.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Now I'm interviewing you now.
Let's go.
Why are you a Bengals fan?
Dude, if I had to get, I don't know. The thing I would probably say is I really like their jersey. Yeah, my favorite color is orange, so I like their uniforms when I was like 5-6 years old. And I don't know, I fell in love with, I remember John Kitna, Corey Dillon, obviously, TJ Hushmanzada, Chad Johnson, Chad Ochocinco, all those guys. So like, dude, I was obsessed. I still am, but like, yeah, ever since day one, never. Man, and again, I know. Go ahead.
Where did you grow up?
Maryland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right. So like, there's
in
no
Ravens.
reason. Yeah, in Ravens country, where I mean, that's
yeah, dude. Well, it was Ravens or Redskin Commanders. Ravens or Redskins, and I was like, I don't like either of these teams. I love the Bengals. Like, and even though just every year, like when fucking Vontaze Burfict hit that guy in the, and I'm like, oh my God, we're gonna win a playoff game. This is gonna be so great. He hits who the hell did he hit?
Antonio Brown.
Yeah. And so I'm like, this is just terrible. My life sucks. So yeah, dude, I go way back. So that being said, now, and it's because it's so funny, and I think maybe we had talked about this, or I talked this with somebody. They were like, before Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, right? And so that was me. But now Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are arguably 2 of the top 10 most known NFL players in the entire league. And we have them on the Cincinnati Bengals. And so, like, what has that been like to have, like, those 2 guys there, just like that draw so much attention, so much love, so much national media? They're incredible players. Like, what has that been like?
Great. It's been the best. Yeah. I hope they're here forever. I wish I had $1 for every time I've told someone, doubt Joe and Jamar at your own risk, because that's the thing that I love the most about covering them, is they could be, I don't know, going 2-on-2 against the devil and Jesus, and you feel like Joe and Jamar might win, right? like they're just like that. And I know it because I've covered other teams and I've seen other duos, and Carson and Chad were not like that. Andy and AJ were not like that. And it's not just Bengals wise. Like, Peyton Manning and Marvin Harrison weren't like Joe and Jamar are. Like, they're on a wild level where you could be down 10 with a minute to go and you feel like they're going to somehow get 11 points. And so, yeah, I think that's the the part of it that I try to remind myself is to enjoy that element of it because they are really unique. And I know it's not going to last forever. And I wish the Bengals would run it that way a little bit more from a front office standpoint, because it's really, really hard to have that kind of tandem, have them together in their prime. And to me, you're looking at the best quarterback in franchise history and the best wide receiver in franchise history. And I don't say that lightly. I'm not saying it because I cover those guys or because they're going to give me a pat on the back for saying it. I don't think they give a damn what I think, to be honest with you. And that's great. They shouldn't.
Right.
But that's how I do feel about them. And so just to know that I'm covering them in this era, it's pretty exciting for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know which side of my camera here, but nonetheless, we'll keep going while I try to fix it. So my next question, I guess, kind of like you see them interacting, kind of on a daily basis on a random Thursday. Like, how are they acting when they're off camera? Is it like they laugh, they joke around? Is it strictly business? Does it depend on the week, who they're playing, if they won or lost? Like, what are they like? I guess kind of behind camera or off camera when no one's watching.
Joe's the same, man.
Yeah.
Like that dude, he's just the same always. And it's funny because you'll talk to teammates about him because you're like, oh, well, maybe he's just like that during open locker room or when he sees media. And they're like, no, he's Joe. He's Joe. That's who he is. That's what he's doing. And usually what he's doing is being quiet, look at his phone. He'll joke and talk. He's social, when there's the time and place for it. But yeah, he's just himself. And I think he has been there, especially early on. You're trying to get a read, and that's just who he is. And Jamar is certainly a bit more talkative for sure. And that's natural, I think, when it comes to his personality and how he's been. And he's a lot of fun. I'll joke with both guys, by the way, for sure. I will, even if that might not be the preferred way Joe likes. I'll still try to keep him on his toes a little bit, right? But yeah, no. Jamar has a son. I have a daughter. Our kids are around the same age. And so we talk about that or some other stuff. I try, again, the human side of it is what I really try to do. I'm not like, hey, man, Jamar, what Nikes are you wearing? I'm not doing that. I'm like, hey, how's the family and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's super cool, dude. I love that. And again, as a Bengals fan, it's just so crazy. And this is where my stupid fandom comes in. But like, you have those two guys, and we're 4-9, and I'm just like, what is this, bro? Like,
it should be impossible. It should be impossible.
But somehow the Bengals find a way. That's what they do. That is what the Bengals do. So hopefully we'll change that. But okay, so covering that, let's get into more of maybe some. I could selfishly talk about the Bengals all day, but I want to give the listeners some good stuff too.
That's fair.
About like, what do you think is maybe the biggest misconception about like regular fans like me who scream at the TV about something? But like, if we saw what you see behind the scenes, what would we realize that might be like totally wrong or totally different from maybe what we see or what we think?
Ooh, okay.
Hard hitting questions, bro.
It's interesting because it just depends on how you like. For the Bengals, it would be because Joe is the best quarterback in the league at this. It would be like, I can't believe Zach Taylor called that play. And it's like, well, he might have called that play, or Joe Burrow might have checked to the other play because that the play that Zach called was not going anywhere. And so he checked like the pick six. Like, it's a called run and the corner's blitzing. Joe knows it's going to fail. The corner even said afterward, like, hey, I thought it was going to be a run. And I think Jamar goes for like 30 yards if he catches that. He might have scored if he catches that, and it just doesn't get there. So it was a heck of a play by the corner. But like, that's a play where it's like people are crushing Zach for play calling. Others are crushing Joe. And the truth is kind of somewhere in the middle. And so stuff like that, I would say, more so than anything. The other thing would be like free agent wise. Like, oh, well, why don't they get this guy or that guy or what happened in the draft with this guy? Sometimes I'll find out about medicals of certain guys before the draft, and I can't really go out there and say, But after the draft, you could kind of mention it. You could kind of hint around it. But there are things like that are tough. And by the way, I'm in the dark some with that too. The medicals are really hard to predict with draft stuff. And I'm a big draft guy. You should have taken this guy. Well, depends on the medicals too.
Tate Ratledge.
Should have taken Tate Ratledge.
I know.
You already know. Oh my God.
It's funny, man. Cool.
Play
I
you
love
at
that.
linebacker. Put you at linebacker.
Dude.
They'd be better off.
Both of us, man. We could get it in. We'd be good there. We'd be good communication. Good communication. Yeah. That's good.
We would.
What
you'd try to tackle. I would not be able to tackle.
No,
it's a tough job.
Dude, yeah, absolutely. No, there's no chance. That's why, I think, and again, the what I don't know what the exact saying. It's like armchair quarterback or coach or whatever, something like that. It's just like, dude, I can talk shit about the defense, but let's be honest, I get my ass kicked. So, what next maybe question for you, since you're in, and again, this to me is just one of the craziest things, and I think so many people there's probably in awe of this. You go in these locker rooms in home games, away games, practice, you're in amongst the team sort of, right? And so what are some of those maybe unwritten rules of being in that locker room that now that maybe you didn't know early on, even not even just being a writer or a columnist or whatever for Cleveland, as you started to COVID's over, you can go into the locker rooms. What are some of those unwritten rules that we may not know?
Well, I was in the locker room before COVID. I should have mentioned that. During during my radio career, I was in really since 2016. I've been in locker rooms, and so pre and post COVID, it's mostly the same. The certain things have changed a little bit from a locker room standpoint. The thing you always got to be leery of is it's a locker room. Guys are getting changed. They're showering, and my rule usually you try not to bother a guy while they're changing. Sometimes you can't avoid it post game. Most of the time you can wait until they get dressed, but it is the job, and that's what's tough. And there's really no great way around it. I know there are people that say, well, they shouldn't even be in the locker room anyway. And others everybody should want us in the locker room because that's how you get the reactions and the access and potentially great answers. Sometimes not. You just never know. But yeah, I think the biggest thing is just being aware of that and aware that it's their place, their sanctuary. We're in there to do our job, and there's a balance of that. So post-COVID, the Bengals, they don't have them this year, but they've had ping pong tables in there multiple times. They had a card table in there one time. And so you don't sit down at the card table. You don't try to play ping pong. I'm just things that you just never know. People might try to do that's not what you do. Now, I did observe some ping pong, and that was entertaining, including Joe Burrow, who gave up the sticks a few. There was one year where he just stopped playing, even though there was ping pong tables in there. But early on in his career, he was into the ping pong for sure.
Okay. I remember you saying that. I remember you said he's super competitive at obviously everything, but you were referencing ping pong. Okay, so
dude,
go ahead.
Super competitive. I loved it. I loved watching that. I was like, good, because I'd be pissed too. I'd be mad as hell right now at that point too. And I'm glad you are too, Joe.
Dude. Yeah, and that's where I think too, man. Just and one thing. So I guess one kind of question I have, and then I have a comment. I'll hear sometimes Jamar Chase declined to speak to the media. So do they just tell you straight up, they're hey, I'm not fucking doing this today, and just pick a different day? How does that go?
So the most recent time was obviously when the suspension was looming, and he was walking by. We asked him to talk. We said, all right, so do you decline to comment? And he said, yeah, and he kind of had to at that point. There's so many layers to that. But he kind of had to at that point. There are other times where it's happened. I'm trying to think about Jamar. Jamar's pretty darn good at talking, but there's been times where T's I'll get you tomorrow, or guys have done that. Joe's obviously obligated to talk after games, but on the road it's tough because it's a hassle. The team is trying to leave,
right?
You're trying to do your job, and it's an 8-minute. You better get what you can, otherwise they're gone.
Yeah.
And so it's a scramble. And if they win, it's even tougher because the music is usually really loud.
Yeah.
If they lose, it's just as hard, really, because there's no music, but they're trying to get the hell out of there because they're pissed off they lost.
Mm-hmm.
So it's there's a balance there for sure.
Yeah, that's cool. And I think the comment I had was like, I think maybe even we sometimes underestimate as even fans, like how serious like they take it. Like, I mean, this is their livelihood, their job, but also just like from a competitive standpoint, like they don't want to fucking lose either. And so I think sometimes as fans, it's like, it's kind of hard to see that from the back end. That's cool. So, all right, let me ask you this, you know, as somebody who watches what I'm like, oh wow, James gets to talk to Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and and like it looks like anything else. There's parts about it. So what do you think is maybe some of those toughest things, or most I gotta add those things that come to mind for you?
Traveling for sure, right? It's we don't get to leave on the team plane and we don't go on the team plane. It isn't that nice. You're for me, I'm trying to find the cheapest flight that's direct. Right. And try to find a reasonable hotel that's either close to the team hotel or close to the stadium or both. And so the traveling part is tough because you leave Saturday, you're probably gone all day Saturday, Sunday's the game. And then you might be back Monday late afternoon, depending on the flights. You can't control that. And they got back Sunday at 11 p.m., you know? And so that's a big part, I would say, the traveling element. The other thing, and it's something that I love and I'm used to now, and you've certainly noticed, and I'm glad that people have noticed, but there is no days off. There is not like, even if I do go on a vacation, I'm going to be checking in on
You're
stuff.
doing videos on the balcony, bro.
Well, that's it, right? Like, so like that vacation, it's during the bye week, but the way it worked with my wife's work schedule is we had to take it at the tail end of the bye week and into the next week. And I was like, that's fine. I'm going to have to work. And I didn't even know about Joe. And so the Joe stuff, I had done all of Monday's work. And then the Bengals announce, and whatever, this is great. But, you know, the Bengals announce, hey, we're activating Joe Burrow. And I'm like, well, all this stuff I just spent 3-4 hours on is irrelevant because now Joe Burrow is practicing. So I had to do it all. So basically it was like a full day of work on vacation. And I can usually get ahead of it and then work around it and be quick and in and out. But that's it. There's always something. Now, I remind myself this plenty, especially this time of year when you're balancing holidays and family. And I was dying to have this 10 years ago. There will never be a moment where I don't remember that. And that's why I do so much now, is because I love the idea of doing this. And now that I have the chance to do it, I want to make the most of it. And I always default back to that. If I'm having a crappy day or if there's a lot going on, it's like, I have to talk about Joe Burrow. Well, I'm at the beach. Like, that's a hell of a freaking luxury to have, right? Like, let's just, you know, like, I have to do an extra video or write an article. Well, thousands of people care about what I said. Like, that's an amazing, I'll say it. I can cuss on here. That's fucking amazing, right?
Yes.
Like, that's something that you would have killed for plenty of times before you had it. So don't take it for granted. And I certainly don't. So yeah, I mean, there are parts of it that aren't as fun. Oh, I'll give you one. Actually, I have a great one. You ready?
Let's go.
This is
I'm
great.
ready.
I forgot about this. This is
right.
this year. I haven't told this publicly anywhere.
Let's
so
go.
I saved it for you.
Let's go.
We go to Lambeau, right? And it's me, Andrew from Cincinnati Bengals Talk, Jay Morrison, who covers the Bengals for BengalsTalk.com, Paul Daner Jr. of The Athletic, and Richard Skinner of Local 12 here in Cincinnati. So we rent this big Chevy 3-row, I think it was Chevy, go up to Green Bay, and that's a 3:15 game local, 4:15 Eastern game, or 4:25. We decide, hey, we're going to leave after the game and see how far we get, which makes sense. It's like a 7-hour drive, 7.5 hour drive.
Shit.
Jay gets like about halfway and he's like, I'm good. And so we go all the way back. We go all the way back. And so we get back to Cincinnati at like 5:15 in the morning.
Oh my God.
There's a picture of me in the front seat next to Jay. He's driving the whole time. And I'm trying to write on my laptop and I'm like this, like I've fallen asleep and I'm hunched over, and they have pictures of me. And I apparently pressed the E key or the N key a bunch. And it's like 3 a.m. I'm trying to write the article for the next day.
Right.
So here's the craziest part is my car had to go into the shop to get something done. They gave me a rental. And so I was in a car that I had never driven before. And so we go to pick up my car and the gas light's on, but it's above E. While I'm driving home, it's like a 20-minute drive. And I'm like, I'll be fine. I'll go home. Man, at 6 a.m., first time in my life, I ran out of gas on the highway.
This was the Monday after the game.
That morning,
God.
when we get dropped off at all of our cars because we all met up.
God.
And so I'm on I-75, for those wondering, by like Cincinnati Dayton exit. And I pull over to the side, and it's a car I've only had for like 2 days. And there was a Jeep Gladiator, I don't know, Jeep Compass. It was a little SUV.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, come on, like what? So I have to walk. I have to walk to the gas station. I haven't slept really,
dude.
And
on the highway?
Yeah. Oh, so I froggered it, man. I looked and I was like, the exit's a half mile that way or 2 miles this way.
Holy shit.
And it's still dark. And I was like, so I had to run across the highway, which is a really trippy when you're like half, been awake all night.
Right.
And got gas, grabbed a gas can. First time in my life. I've never ran out of gas ever, never, ever. But I didn't know that car. And, and so, I figured out how to get the other thing is there was a gas cap, of course, right. But then there's like this gas gauge, like halfway down. And I had to get this cheap gas can to like make it work. It's just the one I got at the gas station. Anyways. So that happened. So instead of getting home at like 6:15, I got home at like 7:15 with a whole fun story to tell. There you go. So after I made it, and I was like, oh well, I played Human Frogger. It's a fun story to tell. So so it's not always glamorous, because you still have to work on that Monday. We still had to work Monday.
Right. That's crazy. Yeah. I mean, I was about to say, I don't know if your wife wants to know that story or not, but that's crazy, dude.
Isn't that nuts?
Dude, that's absolutely insane.
I didn't tell any of the writers. I figured it would be I haven't like gotten a cold one with them in a while. And I was like, next time I'm going to tell them like, hey, just so you guys know, I almost died after Green Bay.
Right.
Because I had to cross 8 lanes. It was 4 lanes one way and then 4 lanes the other to get to the.
Jesus, bro. Yeah, you got to crack open a garage beer, right? That's your spot. There we go. There you go.
Garage
Let's go.
Look at that.
I like that. Yep. I got you, bro. Don't worry about it. That's crazy. Okay, so next question, kind of going, some along the same lines of like having access, right? Mm-hmm. We as fans. We go to the stadium and it's this big event, but like you go to the stadium for work. And so like going to these NFL stadiums and having this sort of access, right? What is that like to be able to be kind of on the other side of that where like you're in, whether it's like having special access or like it's not, you were a fan, now you're still a fan, but it's obviously different. So what is that like having access to these, to these places?
You definitely become more numb to it, right? That you're there and that you're in the locker room and and you need to because it's your job and you're there to do a specific job, a specific task. But it is really cool, right? Mm-hmm. Like, it's going to be minus 10 degrees it's going to feel like minus 10 degrees on Sunday. So that pregame video and that postgame video, they're going to be really chilly. But guess what? I'm on the field. Like, that's pretty cool. And so there's both to it, and you do need to be numb to it to a degree because you don't want to be like, oh my goodness, look at this place every day. So I think there's both, but you're right. Like it's big. In my first time going to Paycor Stadium as a fan since COVID, there was a Luke Combs concert here a few years ago, and I just remember it was in August, so there was you didn't have to worry about weather. But I was just like, this is awesome. This is really cool. Like this is because you just view it much differently when you're going and you scan the ticket versus all right, I'm here for work, go through security, go upstairs and start your work. So I do think that's it's a good point by you because it's even if I went to an event tomorrow, it would feel differently as a fan versus going for work.
Yeah, dude, I see some of the times, you'll post like, Joe Burrow walk into the locker room after the game, or T. Higgins walk into the locker room. Like, this guy is just watching these people go into the locker room. Like, that just has to be a really cool feeling. So when you're at the game, it's funny because we were texting back and forth because we're going to meet up for the Miami game. And you were, and I guess, and again, this is just me just being ignorant, not in necessarily a bad way, but you're like, yeah, Sunday, no go, like busy as fuck on Sunday. And I'm like, oh shit. Like, so during game day, again, as a fan, we're like, oh, we got this 3-4 hour window. We'll watch the game, whatever. Yours is like an all day event. So, I mean, it is. So what does that day look like from kind of when you wake up to when you go to bed, if it's a game day?
Well, they flexed that Miami game to 1, which is huge because maybe we can do a little something on Sunday after, right?
There you go.
The thing is, though, so for a 1 o'clock game, it's on the road. You're probably talking about 9 a.m. or so. You're up, you're moving. If you're like me, you're hoping to get a workout in. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. And you want to be in the stadium by 10:30 at the latest. And then you have your pregame video. If you're me, not everybody has those, of course. You have your actives and inactives. So you're writing an article. I do multiple game day articles before the game starts. That's just something that I found not a lot of people do, and people want to read about the team right before the game. And so I do that, especially if it's a primetime game. I treat it like a normal work day, basically, and then you go into the game and cover it. So they're long days. A 1 o'clock game, you're probably out of the stadium 8:30. You're there for probably 11 to 12 hours, something like that. I could stay longer. I've been better at cutting it shorter and getting out of there and saying, all right, well, I'm going to go home, make sure I'm there for bedtime. That's a big thing with the 2 kids, is make sure I'm there for bedtime. And then I can also do more work. But before kids, there were times I probably left 10:30, 11, you're just like, let me get everything done and then go. Primetime games, I would get out of there at 3 a.m.
That's crazy.
And it's great because you would love to do that. Like, if I was at home and going to bed at midnight, I'd be like, well, man, I really wish I was covering it. And so I do. And so when I've covered a lot of the road games at home, like the Thanksgiving game, I think I got to bed at 2 something. I got it a little earlier, a little sooner, because you don't have to deal with post game. But it comes with the territory. I love it. I feel like we have a good post game rhythm now. There's just a lot to do.
Yeah, that's cool, man. And when you're there, so I guess a couple of just questions I'm thinking of. Do you have? Do they give you like a designated? Hey, this is the media area. This is where you sit. This is what you do. And the second part of that is, I keep coming back to this, but just like as a fan, we're just watching the game, enjoying it. You have to watch the game and work and report on it and tweet out about it and do all these things. So number one, that question, and number two, that other question.
Man, during the game, I'm in the press box. And so whatever press box area there is, and some have really good vantage points. Nashville has arguably the best. I would say you feel really close. You feel like you're in a private suite. Wow. It's that close. Their new stadium will not be that way. None of the new stadiums are that way. The new stadiums, you go up and up and up. Yeah, they say you need double binoculars because we don't give a damn about you because we sold these suites for everybody but media, which I get. You have these billion and billion dollar places. That's what's going to happen. And so Paycor Stadium's right in the middle, which is nice. I think I have pretty good sight line there. And so in the game, what am I thinking about? Obviously, you have the play. As much as you can see on what happened on the play, you don't have the broadcast. You can't hear the broadcast. So you can't hear the announcers point anything out. And so that's a big difference. So like something that's obvious on the broadcast might not be obvious to me in there. Even if I do have the stream up, I'm not listening to it because you want to hear everything that's going on in the stadium. And so some of the big things that I do, keep an eye on injuries. I got video of Burrow walking off and then having to stop and get help off the field in week 2. And that's just me from the press box on my phone. Thank goodness iPhones can zoom in, and I do it that way. I do that with injuries as much as I can because it does add context and that real-time feel. And so that's part of it. But really, it's any storyline. Is this tweet worthy? Should I make an article about it? Where is it in the the stratosphere of coverage, and you try to cover it as best as possible. When I'm at home and they're on the road, it's nice because I tweet clips. I'm watching the broadcast, so I literally
Yeah.
take clips. I have multiple streams up of the game and multiple
Mm-hmm.
TVs, and I do it that way because that's a unique way to cover it. And so it depends if I'm there, if I'm not. But yeah, it's definitely different, and you see different things when you're there versus when you're not. And there's advantages, and then there's advantages to just watching the broadcast
Mm-hmm.
versus not. And so it's all about having that balance, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, two things. Number one, I'll never forget when Joe Burrow fucked up his wrist, and like I remember, and
Dude.
I don't know if you got this, but like he tried to throw, he just like dropped the ball and he just like screamed "fuck," and I was like,
Yeah, I got
I
it.
hate my life. Yeah. I was like, I hate my life. This sucks, but I'll never forget that.
And I didn't
side,
travel. I didn't travel for that one. I was home, and it's the
mm,
first time me and Andrew bickered about it, and I won that argument. I was like, Joe Burrow is hurt. We're doing a video right now. And he's like, the game's going on. I was like, I don't care about the game. Joe
yeah,
Burrow's hurt.
doesn't matter. The game does. Yeah, the
I
game
was like,
doesn't matter.
I was like, the game is irrelevant.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
we got to finish the game. We do not have to finish the game. I'm not even, I
Right.
didn't even watch the end of that game. Like
Don't need
it was
to.
on, but I was,
Yeah.
my laptop's right here. I was
Yeah.
in on my laptop. Just,
Yeah, that's crazy,
So.
dude. Well, and that kind of brings me to the second point, like being a content creator, and I create content and stuff too.
Yeah.
You
do?
have,
I'm shocked.
I know, right? But it's crazy because for you, I'm trying to like put myself in your position. You have like a 3, 4, 5 hour window to
Yep.
try to get all of this content, storylines. What should I make a video about? What injury this? So I'm almost thinking your head and it's like on like psycho mode where it's like, well, this, take a note of this, get a video of this. Like that's gotta be madness, man.
It is madness. Post game is madness. And the reason I do, and I'm sure players hate them, the reason I do the walk into the locker room video is it lets everyone on social media know, hey, we're here, stuff's coming.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like the loyal people. Now, obviously, some of those go viral and it's people that don't follow you, but it takes time to cut up stuff. And that's, to be quite frank with you, the lowest on my list. Recording videos of the recap in reaction to the game, that's really close to number one after all the locker room reaction. Obviously, I have a post-game article up the moment the game ends, and so getting other articles up. And so we do have a good team. It's not a big team, but we have a good team, a reliable team, where Andrew, Jay Morrison, Russ Heltman, mainly. There are others, but those are the main three. And whether it's writing, video, editing, all of the above, we try to knock it out. And so it's chaotic, but just like when it's chaotic with what you do, and there are times where I guarantee you it is, the more you do it, the more you're comfortable with the situations, and you just kind of roll with it.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think especially with what you do too, everything, I mean, this is everything in life, but like it's instant. So like you maybe want to be that first person to get some information out there and get some stories out there, right? Like you can talk about that if you want.
For sure. You do, because one, like that's how you find new people. That's how you get loyal people. That's how, because you're, oh, well, this guy, he does this for every game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whether it's this article or this video or this post or this whatever, and you want to be that. And over the years, I feel like it's evolved for me, and I want to cover the Bengals the best way I can everywhere that I think Bengals fans want to see coverage. And so there's a lot of avenues and a lot of outlets and a lot of ways to do it. And I've tried, like TikTok is pretty foreign to me. And guess what? We do TikTok, and we're going to, and that shouldn't be foreign to me. It should be normal by now. And it's still not, right. And so like, that's one where I dove in, and guess what? It's working. And we have a following there, and it's not our main priority, but you have to do it. And so that's what I think you always have to do. And that's what I'm trying to do when it comes to the Cincinnati Bengals, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's one of the many things that I appreciate about you, just as a fan, but also like as someone who respects what you do. Like I know if there's something going on with the Bengals, James has got me covered. And I'm sure that's what you want to be. But like,
yes,
that's what I think. I'm like, no matter what, all I got to do is go watch. I'll be eating dinner. I'm going to watch James' YouTube video and I'm good to go. Right. Like I'm sure that's huge for the following that you've had. I mean, you got almost 70K subs on YouTube now, right?
Yeah. In the 60s, and hopefully we get to 70. And
from this podcast, you got to get to 70.
I hope so. My goodness, I hope so. Right? That's it. It's just, you want to be like, when someone thinks, oh well, what the hell? Let's react to this. Who do I want to go to? Well, I want to make sure I check out what James has to say, and I think that's so important for this job. Whatever I'm doing, it might be podcast, might be video, it might be writing, whatever. Go find it, and it's always a process, and it's an evolution, and you try to reach as many people as you can. So when they see you, you're like I got at camp, I always get YouTube and listen to the pod and, watch you and all those things. But this past year at camp, you're on TikTok. I was like, yeah, I am.
Let's go.
I was like,
let's go.
I was like, all right. Like that. But like that, I was like, okay, so it's working. These aren't fake followers,
Yeah.
So.
Totally. That's sick, dude. Congratulations. That's really, really cool.
Coming from you. Come on now.
Dude,
there's levels to this. There's levels to this.
I mean, honestly, man, that's awesome. And I think seriously what you're doing is really, really cool. Last, I don't want to take up too much more of your time, man. Last couple of questions. So, okay, these will be maybe some funny questions. Who other than Joe Burrow would you say has like the wildest style or fashion on the team? Because I always know, like, even somebody who's like a regular NFL fan, but also like maybe somebody's wife watches or their kids watch, and they just like to see the players and stuff like that. Who has some of the wildest style or fashion?
Jamar's certainly up there for sure. But I think people see Jamar, he's kind of in that Joe light as well. DJ Turner.
Really?
DJ Turner's sneaky now. Yeah, watch his game day fits. Check those out, and now that he's kind of having a breakout year, it might become sort of a household thing. Another one's Chase Brown. I certainly think he tries to push the envelope a little bit. So those are the two guys that really come to mind right away as like, yeah, they'll push it, they'll take some risks, and most of the time it works, I would say.
Yeah, that's funny. Cool. What is maybe like one, maybe like celebrity or like non-football person you were shocked to see like hanging around the facility sometimes, whether it's training camp, whether it's before or after games, like who might be there that we're like, oh shit, I know that person, but they're not like involved with, the team or anything?
Oh, you trying to get me to talk on Joe Burrow's love life here? I'm not. I'm just kidding. Honestly, I'm trying to think like, well, the main one who, from a content creator standpoint, laps all of us and would beat us in a race too, is Speed. Speed was there.
Oh yeah.
During camp, and then he came for the ruler.
He was the ruler of the jungle.
Well. Yeah. So he's been twice this year.
That's cool.
And yeah, I mean, so that would be one. Outside of that, I feel like there aren't many where I'm like, oh, that, because they're really not coming to the facility. I mean, I guess they probably could, and maybe I'm just not aware of it. I'm trying to think of who else, but yeah, that would be the biggest one I would say is Speed. Cool. And I don't think anyone raced him, which I would have told them not to. That dude's a freak, man.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. I didn't even realize, I didn't even know about the guy until like a year ago. I saw, and I was like, he's jumping off what? Or he's jumping over a car? I'm like, what is this guy doing, bro?
It's like insane. He could just, and he's young. He's super young.
He's from Cincy?
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, no shit. I didn't know that. That's crazy. How often?
I tried to get him to play safety. It just didn't work out, but I tried.
Well, we could use
tweeted
it. We could use anything. I mean, yeah. Put him up there. Yes. How often do you see the owners?
Every practice.
No shit.
They're
that
there
involved
for every practice, every single practice. And that, so that's the delicate thing for me. So you asked like, what's one thing fans, and this is specific to Bengals fans, so I didn't bring it up, but like, there's a perception that ownership doesn't care. They don't care about winning. They just want to make money. And I get it. I get why people feel that way, but they definitely care about winning because he's always there. Mike Brown is always there. He's 90. He's a billionaire and he's 90. He doesn't need to be there. I promise you. And he's there all the time. It's Marvin Lewis told my guy Jay Morrison last month. Last month when he was doing a broadcast, a radio broadcast of the Bengals Patriots, I believe it was. He was like, everyone says Mike Brown doesn't care about winning. He was like, bullshit. He was like, he cares. He's there every single morning. He's at every practice. He's always there. You might not like what he decides, what they do moves wise, but they do care about winning. So I see, I don't talk to ownership every practice, obviously.
Right.
But I see ownership at every practice.
Okay. I want to, as a fan, I'm curious now, why then, and maybe you could, like, from the roster moves, but like the whole big thing is like the Bengals are cheap and they don't pay players. And maybe that's why people say they don't care about winning. Why is that? If he's there all the fucking time, then like, what is that all about?
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's twofold. Like, one, I think they think what they're doing is best. Two, I wonder if they realize the stuff they could do to make themselves better without really mortgaging the future, for example. I think that's a big one internally and externally is like the Bengals have this window to win, like maximize it. And they're like, well, we don't want to be the Saints where they're just like the worst capologists in the world. And everyone would say, well, you don't need to be the Saints. Just don't be what you are. It's like push the envelope a little bit. And that's it. Is there's ways they could have structured Jamar and T to fit a proven safety, a proven linebacker, and more, just with the money they spent on those guys, just with the cap they spent on those guys.
Right.
And that's what sucks is it's like, well, you could have gotten more with what you did without mortgaging your future, which you're worried about. And so that's the painful thing to me, because they should have added more proven talent this offseason. And we've seen that. That's why they're 4-9. If they had added more proven talent, they wouldn't be 4-9, and we'd be probably talking about the playoffs, even with Joe Burrow's injury.
100%. And I guess that's the frustrating part for you and for maybe most people. It's like, if you fucking know that, how are the people, you know what I mean? Like, that might be the frustrating part for people.
Yeah. I last year, and I get plenty wrong. So, but I'm going to bring up one that I got right, because why would I talk about my wrongs, right? But I talk about the team every day. So if people follow me, they know I get it wrong. But Emmanuel Forbes was available and he was released by the Commanders. And the only time I've ever, I don't think I've admitted this publicly either, the only time I've ever reached out to someone in the front office and was like,
no way.
I did. And, and just like, hey, you should do this. And it wasn't Mike Brown, to be clear.
Yeah.
It wasn't the person making the decision. It wasn't Duke Tobin.
Right.
But like, it was a guy that they would have taken in the first round 20 months prior, and he was just available for free. And he was in Washington. Like you mentioned, you didn't pick the Commanders. Thank goodness you didn't. You could have went with the Ravens, who have been better than the Bengals, but thank God you didn't pick the Commanders, because it's been awful. Correct. So like you kind of got it right in the middle, right?
Yeah.
Like that's what's tough is it's like you could have walked into this guy and then he goes to the Rams, and guess what? He's been really good this year for them, and he was a free asset. And so that's what I think the Bengals just haven't done a good job of, is just the asset accumulation of quality talent, taking those risks that could pay off. Emmanuel Forbes was one. And I know they were aware, because I was the one that was like, hey.
Right. You're like, hey, not to overstep boundaries, but just go get this guy.
Go get him.
Go do it.
And I said it in a certain way, and was like, and of course I said, I would go get him. Do you think you guys will,
You play the game.
Tried.
Yeah.
Freaking tried, man.
Well, us fans appreciate you there, James, but it's all good.
Goodness.
Cool. Maybe one of the last things, man. If you could bring like one thing from the locker room to the outside world to show people, like, this is what the NFL is really like, this is what the NFL is really about, what would that one thing be?
Specifically from the locker room, or do you just mean from the team, or from like the experience of covering them, or?
Well, I mean, you can go any one of those things, honestly.
Yeah.
I was more so just trying to get like behind the scenes, what only you or somebody who's very close to the team would see.
Yeah. I think honestly, and I think NFL fans in general would love this, seeing the post game after a division title specifically for the Bengals post-game celebration that ensued, and in each of their division title wins, and you're talking about cigars in the locker room and dancing, and it's just next level, and it's not something we can take video of. It's their place, their space. And so you've seen a little bit of it. You've seen Joe get the gat and stuff. Like, people have seen some of it, but like, it's so cool. And it's like, all right, well, you've been with this team since July and it's December or January, and now they're celebrating because their first goal, every team's first goal is to win the division. And that's just a really cool element of it. The AFC Championship game would be the other one. I got on the field, wasn't supposed to be on the field.
During the win?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, like, when Mike Brown's on and you couldn't hear it, but when Mike Brown's on the podium and Ickey Woods somehow got up there, and like, I'm on the field, and like Bengals ownership was talking to CJ Uzama at one point hugged Elizabeth Blackburn. I remember seeing that. Jesse Bates high-fiving fans. Like, I'm within feet of all of these things happening, and it's pure chaos. And the reason why I was like, I'm not going to not be on the field. We always go on the field for post-game. Why wouldn't I?
Yeah.
It definitely wasn't allowed, but I did it anyway, and somehow it worked. No one stopped me. No one said anything. Yeah. And so we will certainly take it.
That's funny, dude. That's really, really cool. It was funny because I went to that next year's AFC Championship, and were you there for that?
Oh yeah. Okay. I plan on going down to the field on that one too. They had stricter rules, probably because of me. They had stricter rules, but I'll never forget that one, because what a 180! Like, the night before the first one, it was like house money, like, man, just crazy. And I picked them to win that. I have video of me saying they had the Chiefs number, and they somehow won that, coming back from 21-3. And then the second one also picked them to win. I thought they were better. I thought they were better.
I thought they were going to win, bro.
They should have won.
I know.
When they converted the 3rd and 16, that was it. Like, they should have went down and got a field goal. And they did have 3 starting offensive linemen out, which is obviously a huge factor, and came up a tad short. I think that team was certainly better than the Super Bowl team. And had they made it to the Super Bowl, I think they would have won.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I remember watching that game, and I was like, it's got like 2 minutes left. Joe's got the ball. I'm like, sweet, cool, game over. Like, everything's going to be great. I'm like, wait a minute. They just had to punt? Fuck. I was like, don't give the ball back to this guy. Yeah. And Osai.
The Osai penalty.
Yeah. That's I was just about to say, Osai penalty, man.
That was their last playoff game. It was ages ago.
And it feels like it, dude. And
ages ago, man.
Let me ask you this last question, and we'll wrap it up as a Bengals fan here. Truthfully, do you think they're going to make the playoffs this year?
This year?
Yeah.
No.
No chance.
No chance.
Too many things have to go right.
Yeah, I mean, and you look at those things and you're like, oh, well, it could happen. But they all have to happen.
Right.
Right. And like, that's it. Like, could the Steelers lose 3 out of 4? Sure.
Right.
Could the Bengals win 4 straight? Sure, with Joe. Is that going to happen? Plus the Ravens lose another one, plus this, like, maybe, and maybe it does, right?
Yeah.
But as of now, I would just, every time I've tried to buy into this team this year, they've went the other way. Like, after the first Pittsburgh win, they get to 3-4, and they're playing the Jets. And I'm like, they get to 4-4, they're right there. Like, even if you lose to the Bears, and then they blow the Jets game, and then they lose to the Bears. And so now you're like, oh, well, if they could just beat the Steelers again, and then they lose to the Steelers. And then I shouted from the mountaintops for the first time in my career, hey, bring Joe back now. Give him a real shot. By the way, spot on that. I'm just going to pat myself on the back on all of these.
As you should.
I'm kidding, because I get plenty wrong. But, like, good God, they should have brought him back.
Yep.
And they didn't, and he was clearly ready to go.
Yep.
And they lose to New England. Joe Flacco throws a pick 6, lose to New England. And then it's like, well, you lose one more game and it's over, and they lose a crazy one to the Bills and it's over. And that sucks. So it's it'll take me seeing multiple wins in a row, I think, to buy back in. And that includes this week against Baltimore. And then the game that you'll be at and I'll be at in Miami.
There we go. Either way, that'll be a good game. I don't care
It
what
will
else
be a
is
good
going to
game.
happen. That'll be a good game. The last thing I'll say, my answer is yes. My answer is they're making the playoffs, baby. I'm like, that's just my toxic trait about the Bengals.
Let's go. I don't blame you.
Always believe, bro. It's awful.
And so
it's awful.
And that's the difference, right? Like that's the job versus not. Like I get it. I totally do. And I still say doubt Joe and Jamar at your own risk. Yeah. But I say that when they can control it, and they can't control it even if they went out. So
right. Well, dude, this has been awesome, man. I know my audience is gonna love listening to this, so I really appreciate you taking the time.
I don't know if they are. It's a lot of Bengals stuff.
No, they're gonna love the back and forth. I know it, and so I'm excited for it, man. And honestly, Bengals fans or not, like I think if people like the NFL, they should follow you. Of course, you're gonna be Bengals centric, but like, you just do such a great job of like providing these different insights. And I'll be honest too, there was a long period of time I didn't follow, like besides watching the game, I followed nothing else. Cause I'm like, I can't stand hearing Stephen A. Smith talk about anything. I'm like, he's so fucking annoying. And so I'm like, I'm not doing, or just any national media. I think they just do like I don't think they do a great job. And so I think you do an amazing job, man. So I think they will, and I think they should follow you. What are the main places they can follow you at?
Cincinnati Bengals Talk on YouTube, the Locked On Bengals podcast, bengalstalk.com, and then the Cincinnati Bengals Talk brand is on all socials, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, as we mentioned, Blue Sky, Threads. We're just trying to catch you, Eric. Yeah, Blue Sky. Think about that. The sky is blue.
Yep, sky is blue.
And X, cool. of course,
yeah.
X.
Dude,
I feel like that's kind of lost. It's lost.
You got a good following on X, man. You got a good.
Do you not have a good following on X? Do I follow you on X?
No, I don't do a lot on X. That's why.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know if I've seen you much on X.
I don't do a lot. Maybe I get on it now. Maybe after this, I'll have to step up my game and get. Like
I don't know if
bro.
you do. It feels like that one's kind of been pushed by the wayside.
It is true, but it's untapped potential. But no, man, that's awesome. So I'll put all that stuff in the description below in the podcast here, so you guys can go follow James. Thank you again, brother, for coming on. I really appreciate it,
man.
And dude, really excited to see you here in about a week's time.
Let's get this lift in Miami, man.
Let's get this lift.
Eric's about to show me up, man. I've been dadding. I've been husbanding and in covering football in seasoning. Yes.
Yep.
And I am not. I lift, but I'm not anti-alcohol, so that catches me up with me on the road. So there we go.
Well, just make sure that Friday night you go a little bit lean, because we'll have to get into Saturday morning, man. But
we bounce back,
man. Yeah,
I'm not
100%.
that old.
Fair enough. I am. My body is, so I can't
get
do
out
it,
of
man. So, bro, it's been a pleasure, man. We'll chat a little bit more off camera here, but thank you again for hopping on, and I appreciate you, bro. Yeah, dude.
Thank you.